met you yet.
I mean, how do you not love Buble?
I mean, you have to.
I mean, it's that that like ooh, I just love like he's that like from the back of his throat a
Velvet,
little
butter,
bit.
the
So
butter,
good,
just like
so good.
what? I mean,
But look, I just haven't met you yet. I just was thinking,
you're so smart.
I'm like, I've impressed myself constantly. Good morning.
Good morning. I
My girl is chirping at me. Wait one.
listen.
She wants to. You know who I'm talking about. I can't say her name.
Yeah.
She wants to talk to me all the time. She wants to let me know all about Michael Bublé's history. Did I ask you to tell me, girl, about what he's done?
No.
Let me tell you this. Let me give you this is what has happened now, right? So some of you know I went to Philly last week. I hung out with my mom for a couple of days. She's doing really well.
Good.
And she can't say that name in the house either because the way that my dad left everything, like she's everywhere in the house. And so my niece has a friend whose first name is close to that one. It's IS at the end instead of A. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
right. So when my mom asks or she calls and whatever it is, she'll say the name and this thing goes off all over the house. Like all kinds of stuff happen, right? So now my mom, it reminds me of saying black in the 70s. Because now, like, oh, I went out and I met this black woman and
Right,
like
right.
whispered the black, right? Right. So now she's like, oh my gosh, and Chasey stopped over and she was talking about Alexis. And it's like she whispered, I'm like, what are you? She's like, she listens.
My mom used to be so frustrated. Like if they didn't respond, would start singing it. Like, woo! It was like the worst. And I think my dad just yells at them. Just yells. Like one day they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna answer your question unless you can ask it a little bit nicer.
Right. Because we have like I yell at her all the time. Stop. Who asked you? I didn't say your name. What happened? Something happened the other night. Frankie and I were talking, and we didn't say her name, but something I guess that sounded like her name, and she would not stop. Like she just was giving all kinds of detail, and I'm like, what?
Did you hear they're looking to find a way to monetize it, and they said it's cost them like over $20 billion. The technology.
Well, they ought to figure out a way to make her work better. I'm just saying.
Let's talk about that.
I didn't ask for you.
They're not qualified for the job.
I mean, she's obviously listening because everybody, I mean, look, y'all, good morning to everybody. You get those banner ads and you're like, how did you know that I was just thinking about? Sometimes I feel like I'm thinking about it and I haven't done anything but think about it and it appears.
They're doubling down. You know, my Insta-scam clothing addiction that I have, they've been sending and they just keep raising the price. Just an incremental little ways. Like it used to be $19.99. Now it's like $20.23, and then it goes up just a little bit.
Yes.
And they just keep sending me cuter and cuter things. Like they've got my number. Fully.
I mean, they have everybody's number. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, it's funny that you're saying Insta scam because I apparently am in an Insta scam as well. So for those of you who've been trying to like tag me on things on Instagram, my account currently is under review. It has been for weeks. Because I guess I irritated someone, and so they have.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They won't tell me what it is. All they sent me was an email saying, "Do you want to appeal the fact that there's been a complaint or whatever it said?" It was super general, and I'm like, "Okay, appeal." That's all I can do. I've sent a bunch of emails. Like, what am I waiting for here? Like,
I will tell you on the DL. So, like, I do the social media for Young Men's Service League. Don't ask. But the thing that is, we stopped being able to post on Facebook. Just it won't let. Every time I post, it says no. For like a year, and they're like, we're working on it, and there's nothing you can do, and you can't call customer service.
No, you can't.
And there's nobody to talk to.
Instagram has like I forget what it is. It's like info at Instagram.com or
Right.
some general, and it's like, it's nowhere. And
Which
I don't
I'm
know.
not going to answer you at good luck.
And whenever we get to it, we'll let you know. I was like, okay, I have a restricted account. What am I posting horrible pictures of my family? Like, what is it that you're worried about?
Right. My Earth, Wind, and Fire singing.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe.
Right. People pay for that.
First of all,
but you know what? You just reminded me, Kyra this week. Kyra, who sometimes joins us. I know she sometimes has a staff meeting at this time, but she joins us sometimes. She shared on Facebook that Facebook took down a post of hers and gave her a whole thing of like whatever issue, and she was like, "What? Like, okay, yeah."
They tend it. And it's generic. They'll say,
"Yes."
"You don't know."
Totally
I was very concerned because people take people's Instagram, like take over their Instagram with their like porn pictures, and it's like mycollie.com, and it'll be like, like it was one of those videos. All it has was the dogs on it, and the next thing you know, you're seeing it, and they're posting it every day. And it's what's sad is that people unfriend or unfollow or whatever.
Yeah.
And look, I'm just here. Like I said on my Facebook last week, I'm just here for the cat videos, the dog videos.
I saw you posted that. What would you said a whole bunch of stuff, and then you were like, "But here's pictures of my dogs at the end."
Yeah, I like when I'm scolding people. I'm always like, "Here's a picture of my dog." Like, come on, not that serious.
Oh, speaking of scolding, thank you so much to Erin for. If you're all are not familiar with Erin, Erin is an awesome platform for employee referrals in terms of tracking.
What's that mug like?
The mug. So this is why the scolding. Only the Baldino was sent a mug. Only the Baldino.
It's really freaking amazing. It's really amazing, actually, because we go in public and they're like, "Oh, you're on that podcast with Jackie."
Oh yeah.
But yet, I get mugs, right? The only time anybody's ever sent me a mug is when John forces them, and I'm pretty sure my address is Googleable. Like, it's not even like hard.
It is. I mean, it's. But it is the truth. But here's the thing: would you rather have the mug or the recognition? Because when we walk in anywhere, people are like, "Jackie, oh, and that guy, yes, that's so nice."
I know, because I think it's because I'm so loud. They're just like.
I have never noticed that before. I would not. I've never noticed that you're loud.
Did you see my hat from this weekend? I went on a little girls' trip, and they gave me the F-bomb hat.
I don't know why. I was outraged on your behalf.
Thank you.
Is that the right answer? Because I was like, good. Oh, that's the best.
Everyone's like, that's like, what are you talking? I was like, fuck all y'all. Listen.
That's it.
It's a problem. It was nice. If you do have a set of friends, it's nice to always, have a little trip. It was kind of different. It was all Wacoans. It was all Waco women. We went to Dallas this weekend.
Nice.
And I will say it was a blast.
It looked like it was fun.
It was so nice. And it was kind of funny, like we were watching the Olympics. We all were like very in on archery, very concerned.
Isn't it amazing?
That was like
the
down to
sport that we
wire.
Care about. Like, you find yourself like cheering and screaming. You're like, there is no way on my own that I would ever go and watch an event on javelin or watch an event on, synchronized swimming. And you're like, but here I am screaming my head off, like for us to win.
Did you see like the 400? Like just like that, like it was like you're coming from like. No one, if anybody's ever run track, you cannot come from behind in the last 100. It just isn't happening.
It doesn't happen.
You're gassed.
It doesn't.
And you just keep seeing it over and over and over. And I'm telling you, regardless of what's been going on, you can feel some kind of way. You get so proud of like USA and going through the country in the red, white, and blue and seeing this stuff and supporting these athletes. Like you get so invested, like you're yelling at some poor, shot putter from Somalia.
Yes.
Like, take them out.
Yes.
We're the U.S.
Well, and the thing that and it came up this week too, and I'm glad we're talking about being qualified for a job because it came up this week, and I forget where I saw it, but there was a lot of comments, not knowing or not really thinking about the fact that most of those who are in the Olympics, and it was specific about US, most of those US Olympians are not making money. They're not like on salary from someone or somewhere, and that's how they're able to like survive. Most of them the vast majority of them have jobs so that they can pay their bills, and they also then have to make time for the training that's necessary. I mean, hours of training in order to be ready for the Olympics. And people were working all kinds of jobs to make ends meet. And I think we see the dream team, like for men's basketball as an example, and you're like, well, that's how everybody is. No, not even close.
Not even close. And the hours and the equipment, I think, what was the sport? Like they have to change shoes, like track shoes with the cleats and everything that they have to change all of the time.
Listen, those shot putters that we had two winners for the men's shot put. Nobody's paying them to be shot putters.
Right. And the little weightlifting guy, the first time since what, 1984?
Yes.
And it was like,
I know.
And you heard about Flavor Flav sponsoring the women's polo team. Because
that's where the article started. That's exactly what it was. That's right.
And people don't believe it. And I love watching it. And Snoop is having the time of his life. And it's funny because you have these contrasts, right? I love watching Snoop and Kevin Hart makes me cry of laughter.
That's where it started. The last Olympics, when they were watching the equestrian and they couldn't handle what the horse moves were, they were like, look, that dog was like crunking and crumping and this or whatever.
Dressage is one of my favorite sports. It's dressage. It is. Those horses are like.
And Snoop was like, okay, all right.
He said they were doing crip walk. He did like it looks like the crip walk. It was.
And as soon as he did that, NBC was like, "How much do we have to pay him to get him to be?"
That's right. And he has been loving life. He's been bouncing around. He's got his best friend Martha.
Life. Listen, let's talk about how is someone qualified for this job.
That's right.
Let's talk about.
That's right.
Right.
Literally, they have pins of Snoop in the Olympic rooms, or like from a spliff going up from smoking pot. And it's like, who would have thought?
How did Snoop get the jobs that he has?
How did he get to be himself at work?
Right.
And embraced by the whole country?
I mean, and to take the job, like, who was in the room the day that it was decided, Martha Stewart doing a show with Snoop? People would watch that.
Right.
Who is Rachel? Is that accurate?
Moly.
Rachel just shared 500,000 per day. First of all, good morning, Rachel. I mean, I'm not calling you a liar. Holy crow.
But I'm not calling you a truther. I'm just kidding.
500,000 per day. But again, what was Snoop's resume to that point to be said, you know what, he'd be a great co-host on a talk show with the, let's call it the whitest privileged woman, out there.
Right.
Let's put them together on a talk show.
That's right.
How is he qualified for that? What is that discussion like?
Because, it's like, I want to talk about bringing it all into it. And I know it sounds really, work with me. The thing is, it's like, I've been saying this for the past week about how with the technologies that we have in HR tech, we're recruiting burnt out people. We've seen the average tenureship go down to like 2 years. And we're looking for people who are doing the exact same job because that's all the algorithm can find us. That's all we've taught it to do. Yep. And we've stopped looking at, like, are you qualified? But also, is this your next move? Is this the next best move for you? For us as an organization, because we don't want to get sloppy seconds if you're all burnt out. And for you, because you don't want to keep doing this job over here, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't think I've been qualified for a single job I've ever had. I mean, not like
I don't believe that.
I don't believe
that.
Well, I mean, I didn't say I wasn't able to do it. I just think on paper, it wasn't like a 1-for-1 exact copy where someone said,
right,
you know what? This resume is perfect. This is the candidate.
Yes. And part of that is because we've both had experiences with recruiters who will take a job description and come to us and say, I read this and John, I thought of you. You are the perfect person for this. And I'm often like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What is it that you think you know about me? Because we're not tight. So what is it that
I've never sold ice before. So explain to me why a slush master.
Like, why? What is it that you think you know about me? Well, I know you're hardworking. Okay. This role really needs someone who could multitask. Oh, okay. Like what? They're so generic, and so I think that's caused some candidates to feel a lack of trust with a recruiter because it's like you're just saying this because you have a different end game than mine. If you're an agency recruiter, it's because you ain't getting paid until you place me somewhere, whatever it might be. Like we start to doubt it, and I think that then it becomes internalized to say, well, maybe I should go for it because I'm not getting anywhere else. Maybe I'm not really qualified for the other roles that I've been applying to on my own. Nobody's calling me, or I'm not, you know what I mean? And you start to tell yourself a lot of this stuff.
And that's why I think it's like giving people the accurate performance reviews are so important. Because you will gaslight yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And like literally I got frustrated to tears because I wanted to try. I was trying, communication is tough for me. I know I talk a lot. I know people talk to me, but when I'm trying to like talk about impassioned thoughts, it's just really hard. It's really, really hard. And so I got myself like all worked up to the point where now I'm working from like 25 spreadsheets. I'm trying to put all this stuff together. I was like, oh my God, I overshot. But it's because we all also have skills that you have to keep nurturing. It's one of those, you snooze, you lose. And you want people at your job that's going to tickle some of those things that you're interested in learning to keep you interested in going forward.
Well, so we've had the past few years, like a whole lot of tech released on skill development, upskilling, reskilling, right? All of that. What are we doing that for? Isn't it to? Is
anybody doing it good? I'm not trying to be funny. Is anybody doing it good? I know people are offering it, but like, honestly and truly, I got really embarrassed. How many of y'all know me from LinkedIn? You can raise your hand. Okay. So I literally last week was like, I went back to my original contract from I don't even know how many years ago. And I'm like, I'm going to watch this video. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. So I'm like asking somebody else like, oh, did you know? No, I didn't know. So how many people are taking all these classes, really looking at it, learning it, using it, implementing it?
I mean, part of I'm going to shake my head. It's not the majority. I have no.
But look at it. Like we should all be brilliant. I'm not trying to like.
No.
Seriously, from LinkedIn alone, the free quality content that you can get.
Yes.
We should all be brilliant.
Yeah, and part of the problem is advocacy, and the other part of the problem is, I think, the organization itself doesn't know how these things can be applicable to, whether it's directly related to a next level role in a career map or the creation of a different role within an org. I mean, that's super risky for an organization. They what it's like. The larger an organization gets, it's very bureaucratic. It's very, it's less creative. This is what Jackie is this, she then becomes this, she then becomes that. That's how it works. And you're like, okay.
I'm working on our career map stuff for Textio, and it's something that I wanted to launch at next quarter, but putting the framework together. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, do people feel safe? DEIB is my first focus. So I'm like, do people feel safe enough to tell me what they really want to do? Like, what if somebody wants to be like a motor car driver? I was like, this is going to, like, the bias that you're introducing can be really scary. to
I mean,
managers.
I just talked to somebody, and I mean, I wonder if he's watching this actually right now. But I just talked to a candidate who, on a marketing design kind of level, and one of the things that he shared was that some of his experience isn't in the design part of things, but in the implementation. And he shared for a client, he's like I took the banners that were literally like made, printed on vinyl and all. And he's like, I picked them up and I went to the event and hung the banners. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I know that doesn't sound like, I'm like, I'm sorry. I think that's great. And because at the end of the day, all of the best design work can be done on a particular project. If nobody ever sees it, who cares? We need people who are hanging the banners. Like
Right.
we need that. So what do we do to ourselves when it comes to our own qualifications? We're like, oh, I know this probably isn't relevant or might sound really dumb, or I'm minimizing what it is that I've done. And I'm like, please don't. Like,
it's hard to know where people are when you're talking about a tech specifically. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I only know how to do this from a spreadsheet and pivot table that I actually write. I'm not trying to, and I, it's the way that I work. Is there a better way of doing it? And I could spend 2 days trying to find a piece of software to do the job that I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, so good to see people. Dave Curtis, I don't want to.
I love Dave Curtis.
I just want to, like, on paper, this is our problem, right? We live in a two-dimensional world. On paper,
That's right.
I've never been qualified. Why? Because we build, Jackie, to exactly your point, we build these algorithms in systems that are scraping resumes that come in, and they're looking for keywords. I mean, that's what we've built.
I'm looking for a director of demand gen, and everybody says like, marketing manager, and I'm like, is that the freaking same thing? Like,
Right. And it's like there is no like lexicon of common approach in terms of terminology. So you're like, I don't know.
And then you're expected to go map it out, all the competencies.
Right.
And then you find out that they're using all these competencies.
You're the recruiter. I'm going to keep saying this. Most recruiters don't know
the competencies for the role. So they can't do advantageous.
They don't know. I'm not mad at recruiters when I say this. Please know that's not a like shade on recruiters.
It's not your fault. And P.S. the manager doesn't know either.
The P.S. the manager doesn't know. And I'm going to say, what is it? P.P.S. It's not 2 S's. I think it's P.P.S.
I always know, is it P.P.S. or is it P.S.S.?
Postscript. I think it's P.P.S.
Okay.
Yes. Some of the managers, it's not that they don't know, it's that they don't want to identify it, because I think some of them coming back to qualification now for the manager feel like I'll be found out that I don't know as much.
And yes, you'll be find out that you're not paying enough because they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
I mean, I have, oh Lord help us. I have first of all, Sean is here too, and everyone is well aware that you are not your wife's first choice. That is an absolute fact. And honestly,
is so cute.
The fact that you put second choice is very brave of you. I don't think that's true either. I'm just saying.
I hope so.
Like, so Steve Brown just entered the room as well, and that he's qualified for every job, which, let's be super clear, complete lie. But the idea of, I want to pick on Steve for a second, in the sense of saying, here's someone who's sitting at a CHRO capacity for an organization with 1,000+ employees. And there will be, here comes like the qualification bravado. He can walk into a room and there will be other CHROs who are like, oh, it's only 1,000 employees. I've been CHRO when it was 10,000, or I've been CHRO.
Yes, saying that, like, as I'm working on this career map, first thing somebody said was like, oh, well, why would a head of talent acquisition? I was like, well, I'm really looking at the employee experience, like the hire to retire. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, but you're so small.
Isn't it? It's like, honestly, I am so sorry in advance, but it is like the comparing your private parts thing, like whose Schwartz is bigger. And I'm like, that's where we're at.
By the way, there's a new show. Okay, we're just friends, and it's called The Down There Doctor.
I have not seen this. What channel is it?
Literally, you know, the one with all those shows, like Pimple Popper and all of those shows.
Oh my gosh, TLC, because it is the learning
Because
channel.
we're learning. I learned a lot yesterday.
Oh my gosh, you see that pole vaulter who lost out because of his Schwartz? I mean, this is.
Listen, I saw a lot of Schwartzes coming off of that 100-meter dash.
Listen,
just speaking, I don't know what happened to the Schwartz.
As someone who has to deal with the Schwartz, that it has to go somewhere, y'all. It has to go somewhere.
Yeah, but I had
that poor pole vaulter though. He had that jump if it weren't for
the
but
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
But here we are.
There's a market out there. There's a market.
There's a market for that. It's called duct tape.
Stop.
But here's where, again, and I know I'm speaking kind of for Steve, and I don't mean it that way, but just this idea of now we've made qualification be about where you've done it, and the larger the population, therefore you must be better at it because it's larger population. That is circular. That doesn't make sense. There are plenty of people I know who are phenomenal with a 200-person organization, and I have met the people
the same.
Who are at organizations with 20,000 employees, and I'm telling you, they couldn't HR their way out of a paper bag.
Listen,
I'm just telling you.
Spell HR. Couldn't spell HR.
It's your third attempt. Stop putting the R before
two letters.
Come on.
It rhymes with H. R.
I mean,
but also, why does everybody think they can do HR? Why does everybody think they can hire people? Listen, I can't,
I had someone yesterday say to me, and I'm going to make sure I say this. Lovely person. No beef, none of that stuff. But in one of his responses, he's like, I just don't know how many hours we really would need of HR support because we don't have a lot of issues. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that the lifestyle that you've lived in various organizations has led you to believe that HR is only to be involved when there's something to react to. It's actually supposed to be proactive in many ways.
We could make you better though.
I'm so sorry that we only call HR when someone touches someone else. Come on.
That was always my favorite thing in talent acquisition, which is my bread and butter, like the core and HR tech. I used to say, they'd say, we want somebody just like our best person. And I'm like, but what if we could do better? Would you want somebody better?
Yes. And then you're the candidate. How do I get out of my own head and look at what I'm actually qualified for? How do I tell the story?
And what do you have? That's why competencies are so important.
Oh my gosh. No, but this is, first of all, problem number one with competency. Right? Let's you and I talk about this. Just us.
Okay.
Problem number one with competency. We interchange competency and skill as the same word, right?
And that's wrong.
So why is it wrong? Not because I'm testing you, but
because because it's just like anything. Like I always equate it to if I ask you if you're healthy, right? They'll say, yes, I eat, vegetables, I run, I do whatever. But then when you're saying, okay, you're supposed to eat 1,700 calories a day, they're like, oh no, I don't do that. Well, then you're not healthy. The skill and the competency is at its core, right?
Yes,
so the job description is parent. The skill is raise a child. The competency is project management. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's real deep.
Woo, y'all use that example. That is lovely.
So those are different things.
Yes.
If you have the skill, the competency means that you can do the job. The skill, it's kind of more, I don't know, it's lipsticky on a pig. It's that's not the job.
First of all, don't anybody put down on their resume under skills, lipstick on a pig. That won't help you. But
unless you're
I love this idea. And again, Dave, skill is a specific ability. Competency is a combination of knowledge and skill, ability, honestly, aptitude. some of it is attitude. There are people who are excellent at a particular skill and have the worst attitude in the world. And so it diminishes their competency because
Right.
I'm not engaging you with whatever skill you may have because you are a miserable curmudgeon that no one wants to be
And like,
around.
and it's like management. Like I'll tell on myself, like math is really hard. You know, if you want to be a manager, you should be able to budget, forecast. How many managers have that have the competency
Come on.
to be able to manage a budget? The skill is Excel.
Not zero. Not zero.
Right? The skill is
It's
Excel.
a small, yes.
I can do Excel. That doesn't mean that I have the competency and the capability to be able to manage a budget, forecast the needs, forecast head count. That's management.
I absolutely, Sean, you can train skills, not attitude. I have to tell you the amount of times organizations sometimes spend on trying to re-attitude someone. It's exhausting. At some point, we need to say to someone,
I'm trying to do that with my children since I've
you may have certain qualifications for this work, but because of your expression of that work, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You are doing yourself a disservice. And at some point, I'm not codependent to you as an organization. Right?
You just killed me. True. A truer thing has never been said.
But look, you and I both know how many organizations sit in unhealthy codependent relationships with people, both because the person is an absolute and should be dismissed from the organization, but also because we have people who are stymied because they don't know what to do with what they know how to do. They don't see a path forward. They don't understand how they could be qualified for something else or externally to another role. We haven't done a great job of sort of aligning those things.
And I think it's also important. There's another part of this that we don't talk about in jobs about being qualified. Let's talk about, like, are you qualified, but will this job fulfill your need? Because the other mistake that we make is that we want to be successful. Some people want to be successful, but do you want meaningful work? Do you find the work to be meaningful, right? So those are things that you have to really look at when you are there. And then you have to get real. I think a lot of people don't have that internal intelligence, emotional intelligence to be like, listen, it's difficult to manage. Like, and
I don't mean that negatively. Like, you're not saying that making fun of people. I just want to make sure. No. We just, who teaches that?
It is because, like, I know, like, one day when I'm super famous, I'm going to bring all my managers into a room to be on the Jackie podcast. And I'll be like, okay, y'all, let's just talk about it.
Let's talk about it. These are the top 3 reasons why you stop.
I mean, God bless my mother, poor thing. I'm glad she's not alive to see that. She might have to find out. She might find out that I'm.
I will handle the role that she would have taken. Don't you worry.
Thank you. I'm sure you will. Yes, thank you. You and Jeremy. By the way, did you see Jeremy is a granddaddy? Did you see the baby?
I saw it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Y'all, everybody, if you've watching for the first time, this is how the show goes. It's very like bing, bing, bing. We're everywhere. Jeremy Roberts is who we're talking about. If you are connected with Jeremy and haven't seen this grandchild, and by the way, I'm going to just say this, though it's not true. The 2 12-year-olds that are now the parents of this child.
They're 23.
I was like, you know, it's bad when you look at these kids and you're like, they're kids. They're 23 years old. And I'm like, oh, no, that means I'm ancient. Stop that. Gorgeous.
But I digress. But I think that one of the things, I love what Steve Brandt, like, where did he go? George
said, I love what hi, George LaRock, by the way.
Hi, George.
Look at this. I hope my company, he overheard this. I hope my company sees me as more than a bag of skills. The fact that you would even be concerned about that probably leans into there's something there, right? There's something making you.
They probably don't.
But what does that mean?
But then think of the opposite. Sometimes, how many of you think your company doesn't think you know shit?
Yeah.
Not. Well, I'm devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I'm just
Actually,
but
I was going to talk to you about that.
Right.
Word on the street is you don't know nothing.
Listen, I do know plenty. First of all, I'm a delight.
Listen, what's the secret of Baldino's success? One of the things that I tell people all the time is I know who gets things done versus who has the position of title and power.
That's right.
High school was all about the secretaries, not the principals.
That's right.
Because you knew how to get things done.
You have to know where your circle of influence is.
That's
where
right.
You can pull those things together wherever you go.
That's correct. The secretaries got things done. The principals had the title, and I wasn't disrespectful to them, but I knew if I needed to get something done, I would go to the secretaries. In your organizations, people know the same thing. Somebody may have a director title, but they go to a particular person. They're like, hey, can you help me? Because they have some level of overarching competency that gives confidence to colleagues to say, if I go to you, this is going to get done, whether that's knowing how to work the system, what channels to make sure work, travels in order for it to be done as efficiently as possible. You talked about project management. Like there's all those things that could play into it. Now the question is, I have been I'll say that key stakeholder kind of person without a title. How do I sit back and say, what do I evaluate as what I'm qualified for? Do I have am I just sliding into comfort now because I know how to get everything done here and I don't want to have to think, much, but maybe it's getting old. Maybe you do need to sit back and say, what have I built here? What is it that I know how to do? What can I do to sort of tell that story? You may need to work with someone who can look at it objectively for you in terms of putting a resume together, coming back to this two-dimensional way that we live with candidate submission for a role, right? So like you may need to talk to someone. You may need to talk to Jackie, who's going to be like, tell me what you've done the last 5 years at work. And you start telling stories and Jackie would be like, well, that means this, that means this.
Right.
And right. And that candidate is like, it does.
Yeah.
That's what I know how to do. Wow. Right.
I mean, I think that happens a lot, but I also think the other challenge is like, some people have certain superpowers, like they're your superpowers that you have alone. And there isn't a core competency and it's difficult for you to try to put it together. Yeah. Like I'm always, you do love that. Yeah.
I was waiting for someone to comment.
My shirt yesterday said "Black Job, 44th President of the United States." That's what it said. And put that little check. But I just think about my superpower is when things get down to the wire, and it is not going in the right direction. I will jump in, but I also get really nervous because I'm like, why am I that person? Because of the whole stereotype of coming back at that person. Also having to be well aware that I am that person and the rest of the time I'm contributing and doing those things, but that's when I shine and that's what gives me energy. There are a lot of people where they get energy from fixing and also people where Todd asked me what I was doing today at work and I was like, I want to build heroes today. Like I want people to have this software so that they can be heroes at their organizations. Because I was listening to a podcast. He was like, that isn't relevant. I was like, it is relevant because I want to build heroes today and find out how we can build better community around people doing the work. Some of you saw the post yesterday where I was like, all these people building HR software who's never worked in HR. I lost it because someone asked me about what rules and discriminatory things about hiring in the interview process. So I said, here's the core thing. So here's the protected class. Oh, that list is really short. And I was like, okay, it's based on these laws, the Americans with Disabilities Act,
really short.
I was like, yeah, it says don't discriminate against these people. Unfortunately, people don't know it's discriminatory to say, hey, I don't know if that hair is going to work here. Like people are just not real bright because it's hard work. And the compliance part is why we're here. And it's so nuanced and it changes by the day. And you can get in big, big trouble for some of the silliest stuff. And I get passionate around, I think all of us in HR get passionate around it this time of year because it has to do on who you vote for and what laws are going on within your communities. And it's not impossible to change as long as you educate yourself. But then this is like when people expose what they didn't read.
Well, and I think part of it too is there's a stigma of fear that honestly is a lot about vulnerability. It is really, and a big influence of that is social media. I know that I really feel like a kind of an curmudgeon when I say that, but I mean it more in, if that's become your primary outlet for communication and interaction, then if you get vulnerable and put something up to say, I'm struggling with this, I don't understand this, genuinely, you open yourself up to being ripped apart by people who, let me make sure I tell you this, don't really know you. I don't care if you've been friends with somebody for 5 years. Just because Facebook says you're friends doesn't really mean that you are. So, but we swallow that like bitter pill of like, oh my gosh, I got lit up by 3 people that were my friends when I was vulnerable about, I don't like the VP pick, or I don't like this on this side. I'm trying to ask, and you are ripped apart. Now, imagine you now need to be vulnerable to say to someone, can you help me put together like what my qualifications are, what my skill sets are? I'm only looking at it from my point of view. What do you see in some of the work you think that person's going to be vulnerable after they got ripped apart for something that is more general? Of course they're not. They're going to keep it to themselves and just be like, I guess I got to figure it out on my own. I guess
there's people are mostly driven by 2 things. One is, I didn't do something I was supposed to do, or I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. Like when you're trying to make purchases or decisions, it's like, is this something I need to do to get my job? If I don't do it, am I going to get in trouble? Now that I did it, am I going to get in trouble? And it's just like this wheel. It's like this cycle because things are just so unclear. And then you're too afraid because you're not in an environment to go, hey, I don't think I know what I'm doing.
Listen, if you have a recruiter, and I know Nikki's here, and I apologize because there's been lots of comments, so I know I'm missing some people.
And there's more than one LinkedIn user.
No,
it's McCall a LinkedIn?
Yeah, Ben, I don't know why you're coming up in his LinkedIn user, Benjamin, but I'm going to say this, my friend. You and I both have the same perspective on the hair question. I never have to worry about it, ever. But, again, Nikki's here from a recruiter's perspective, and whoever else might be here from a talent acquisition standpoint. Like, what would it mean to you to have a candidate connect with you to say, can I take 15 minutes of your time? I'm happy to pay for it. Can I take 15 minutes of your time and tell you what I've done in my career? Can I take a half an hour? And would you help me qualify what some of those things are? What is it that I'm actually saying that I don't hear myself saying? What a really amazing conversation that could be, right? To have somebody who's a step removed. Yes, Dave, I'm sorry, I left you out too. Yes, bald. Anybody who's bald, by the way, we got it good. I save a fortune on haircuts. I mean, like, what you pay to get your hair did. Yes, you do. And Kathy going to get highlights, low lights, side lights, whatever the heck the things are that have to be put on. Like don't at me. I know it's not side lights. Just relax.
Here's a picture of my dog again.
I don't know if you've ever done that personally, Jack, like in your life where you've sat with someone to say, tell me what you see in me. What competencies, what skills, what do you think I know? It's so uncomfortable because it feels like bravado, but I only see what I see from my vantage point. Like I need to have other influences because I need people who will say to me, here's what you're good at. And here's what you think you're good at, but you're actually not. Like I need both.
Somebody sent me a message last night, an email, and they just said, I wanted you to know.
Send me the picture of you in a bikini.
No. They would regret that quickly.
Lies.
It said, I've been looking at what you're writing. You've been putting out some of the best content you've ever put out in the past 10 years that I've known you. And I was just like, And they were like, but I noticed a shift. I want to make sure you're okay, you know?
Oh.
And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. It's like, I think I do this every 3 years. I get that because I'm learning. I'm a constant, I want to be able to learn.
You and like change.
I love it. Like people are like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I've lived in all these places. And they're like, why? I was like, just get bored.
Yeah.
I'm just ready to go someplace else. I thrive in difficult work environments, problems that are really difficult to solve. That's where I get my energy.
First of all, you have done so many things. That's where sometimes it's hard to be like, let me sit and tell you the story of Jackie, right? Let me sit and tell you the story of John. And someone would say, this is what I hear you saying. This is how I think it could work in the workforce. Here's what I would encourage you to do. You and I both have said this to people as well, like have different versions of your resume that are for specific types of work. I have to tell you, there are still people just doing one resume for every kind of job that they want to apply for. And you're missing, you can
talk to resume, right? Like resume writers, literally that's what they do. Like I still use a resume writer. I pay him to update my resume. And he always says, so what kind of things are you interested in?
Yes.
And we just sit and have a conversation. And he looks at my jobs and he looks at the companies and he's like, he'll ask different questions and rewrite the resume to target, you know,
and
so we can figure out
if you do, gosh, such good comments this morning. Thank you everybody for everything you're writing. Keep them coming. If you are in talent acquisition, or if you're a hiring manager, if you have responsibility to interview and help bring people on, you do need to be thoughtful about particular people groups. I like those glasses, by the way. Don't take those off. I do love those. I like those. I think often about those with military experience. They have a really difficult time reading this like list of 10 bullet points. They have a really hard time because they are trained the preciseness of exactly what's there. And if they're at 8 out of 10 where they match up and 2 they don't feel like they match up, or they're not sure if they do, they actually don't apply. They don't apply.
And that's horrible.
Statistically, the average is just over 9 out of the 10 bullet points. They have to meet 9.2 or whatever it was of the bullet points, like out of 10. We're missing people over 1 bullet point or maybe 2 that just don't know how to advocate for themselves because they're trained, and rightly so, in a very specific way that they're going to look at these qualifications. So if you know that might be part of the audience you want to get to, then the company has a responsibility to be helpful to say, let me broaden some of these bullet points. Let me help people see that where there might be alignment. Let me speak sometimes specifically to those of military background as to, that we're interested in it. And please, let's have a conversation. Whatever marginalized groups you might want to be thoughtful for, think about that.
I appreciate that. I also want to bring up something that Jamie brought up about the resume. And if you're looking at this on LinkedIn, I think this is if you have a premium design. I should probably teach a class on this, but I've been playing with the LinkedIn. If you go in there,
$1,000 a person for a session. Come on,
stop it!
Make it rain, girl. Make it rain.
Make it rain, yo. Could you imagine? Okay, let me tell you about ChatGPT. I don't see any money out there. Now this is ridiculous. I'm so
ridiculous.
But now on LinkedIn, when you're looking at the jobs, you can say, "Am I qualified for this job?" And they'll say, "You have this, this, and this, but based on the job description, these are the things you can improve." Right? Like, which is important because on the other side of that algorithm, it's telling people who they need to look at.
Yes.
So it is worth the investment.
Absolutely.
Right now, if you are looking, it is worth the investment to get the premium. I think it's $40 a month. If you have a problem, maybe we should start asking people with our donate button a scholarship so people can afford for like.
Put your Cash App out there.
We'll put it on there. Jamie, make it happen.
Jamie, do it. But it also is, you bring up that was a great walkthrough in LinkedIn, because sometimes what it will say exactly what you shared in terms of like, here's the things that you don't seem to align.
And you're like, I got
right?
that. So now you know what your profile looks like.
That's exact, because you're like, wait a minute. People would read my history and not know that I know that. Oh, crap.
Look, you need to go in. Here's another tip to see if you're qualified, looking at the things, but go into the LinkedIn Learning where they offer you a certificate. Just do the ones where they offer you a free certificate, because LinkedIn will add it to your skills.
Yes, they do.
So then when people, because recruiters, listen, 50% work very hard. The other 50, they're very lazy. They're looking for software to give them the answers.
Yes.
And LinkedIn will show them all the people who took
they are a
recruiter,
class. Lowercase r, recruiter. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it just is. I mean, I that's how old I am. I always used to say we used to have to recruit live. Like we'd go next door.
Where is Nikki? I just gave you a whole marketing ploy for your company, by the way. We're recruiters, not lowercase r, recruiters. Go ahead. Put those
Nikki, where are you at?
Put those t-shirts together. But I think that this is an excellent point, because again, the software is telling you things in a very quick way that might start you to get comfortable with being vulnerable with someone else. Because once software that you have no friendship with says, it doesn't look like you have these qualifications, these skills to line up with these qualifications, and you think, yes, I do. That's where I think it's good to have a conversation with someone else to say, hey, LinkedIn told me that it doesn't look like I have these skills. I feel like I've been operating in these skills for years. I need your eyes. Can you look at what I have? Can you look at what's on my profile?
The other software does that. The odds are everything that's using that technology sees you in the same way. Yep. I've been getting it
it's called Microsoft. That's just so y'all know.
They're owned by Microsoft.
I mean, just so you know.
Microsoft.
It's little company.
Listen, Nikki, I have like another 177 software developer engineers. If you could just do those for me, maybe we swap. I need help.
I mean, just send us the link, Nikki. We'll split the fee.
We'll split the fee. It's hard out there. Christmas is coming up.
And by split the fee, I mean we'll just buy each other's dinner when we go out.
If I split the fee, I mean cocktails. I do also think it's a good time to remind everybody there's only 138 days till Christmas if you're one who celebrates.
Stop with this.
Listen, stop. Because I've been doing. I've gotten addicted to Hallmark, and now I do Christmas countdowns. We almost put the tree.
Oh my gosh, they're doing the first series. Holiday series. Did you see that on
Yes.
Hallmark?
Yes.
I don't know what.
Let me tell you, they got
you need to do a watch party with BJ
because I love
addicted to Hallmark
movies, and they have a thing called Mahogany, which is like for the Black girls, and they're having a whole thing in Atlanta. They have separate cards.
Let me tell you something. The Mahogany cards is where it started. That's where that, years ago, actually, they've had that line for quite some time. They were one of the
first.
Very much so.
Look at all the people. I'm not trying to make y'all upset. I'm just trying to help you out like a good auntie.
Why would you do that? Listen, if you don't know that there is a fortune to be made in Hallmark Christmas movies, you don't know. You would be surprised how much of the revenue on Hallmark come from those movies.
And I'm pretty sure we could all make one. I mean, just to be clear, I'm pretty sure
Lacey Chabert has been in like 28 Hallmark Christmas movies.
Maybe we can record one at HR Tech this year. We'll give everybody roles. Let us know if you're going to HR Tech. We'll film a little mini movie.
So let's talk about, we also do need to talk, and I know we just have a couple minutes, but so I will be in terms of what's coming up for us. I'm going to be speaking at HR Florida at the end of this month at the state conference. So if anybody's going to be at HR Florida, I know Eric Kershak is speaking, and I can't remember who else is there. So please make sure that you stop by to see me when I'm there. I'm going to be at RecFest in Nashville in the second week of September. Jackie may be packed into a trunk and join us there as well because she's giving me attitude, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to win.
Give you
and
I got HR tech, and then
we have HR tech after that, right?
And then next month I'll be doing Bravely. Bravely has a conference, and I'm doing actually a conversation about politics at work and how to navigate those spaces.
Woo! When is that? You know when that is?
No, I think it's the 12th. They're trying to figure out which date, so I'll let you know about
September?
Of September. It's either 11th and 12th. It's online. The other thing that is going to be happening, I'm going to be taking over part of the Textio LinkedIn page, and I'm starting to do Textio Talent Labs. I told you I had a fit last week and I cried, and now I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do all this stuff. I am doing
That's your normal though. That's your process. That's how you work through it.
I didn't fool anybody. Nobody was.
No.
They were like, just Jackie. That's why I'm going to have all my
left, and he bought a 6-pack of Bud, and he just sat out back and was like,
Light.
"Oh, is that what it is?"
Yeah, I know. I mean, we basically
Miller Lite. I need to help him so much.
It's my fault. It's probably because No,
you drink Corona.
I know, but did you know I used to be a Miller girl? Did you know that? Fun fact. It's a little bit of.
But that's when you were like 16. You were a Miller girl.
22.
Who are you fooling?
That was not 6. I was not 16. So
I mean, you weren't drinking beer at 16. Okay, sure.
Absolutely.
Everyone, not. Right? And she poops rainbows. I mean, come on.
I definitely don't do that.
That's another T-shirt.
If you poop rainbows,
see
a doctor.
Let's Jackie pooping rainbows somewhere for a T-shirt. Let's
John on the pole with making it rain.
Jamie I'm happy to be. I ain't proud. So Kathy and I went to this place. It's called Pineapple Joe's, and it used to be a strip club. Now it's a restaurant, and they left the pole in the center and sort of built tables around it. You know my hands. I was right up on that pole.
We literally got a van with a pole in the back and all tried. I don't know why we thought that was going to be a good idea.
Josh Rock. Look, y'all, you want to wake up screaming at 3 a.m? It's the memory of that man hanging upside down, trying to slide down that pole. Come on.
I've ever seen. I'm hoping that we get to redo that again this year.
I miss is the toilet cold. I love everyone's comments. I mean, I love.
I haven't seen Stefano in a while.
I don't know. We've got a lot of creepers.
I think
like they watch every week, but they don't comment. We want you all. We want y'all to comment. We love you.
We appreciate you so much. And
I do. Yeah. I was just going to say, because we're talking about being qualified for work. Once again, if you are looking for work, please make sure that you put your LinkedIn profile in the chat here and make it
out to me. I want to showcase you.
Yes.
I want to showcase you. I'll use my network. We'll use our networks to share it out to make sure that people are having it. We know that.
And your homework is, if you need to, reach out to that at least one person that you can say, can you take a look at my job history? Can you listen to me tell you stories about what I'm doing? And then tell me what you think it is that I know how to do.
If you're going to send John a mug, just send 2. He'll bring it to me.
I will. Actually, that is true. I will. I'll pay for an extra, luggage to cart everything to her. Don't you worry. I'll do it.
His big muscles, and he'll just bring an extra.
Come on. Where can I? Come on. Look at me. I mean, I'm feeling real good today.
Are you feeling yourself today?
Gosh, I was all feeling myself this morning. I had a hard workout this morning, and I was like, okay, pecs. All right.
I woke up and it said it's an off day because Sunday is 9 Mile Day.
Donna, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. First time. Welcome. We are thrilled that you're here. Thank you.
I love that. Yes. Put it in there. We want to be able to help you. Yes, and also people are going to go in through the reruns. Please share this because we want to make sure that we can get this to as many.
Comment. If you're watching it after the fact, add your comments.
And it is recorded here, but you can also go on my YouTube, his YouTube.
Yep. After YouTube sends me an email saying you're not allowed to use that song.
I know. Maybe we should just sing.
No. No. Oh my gosh. We've got mugs being made with rainbows going into. I love everyone who's here. I just love.
I do. Especially the Canadians, because that's where we're going to film our Hallmark movie. That's where a majority of them are filmed.
Toronto, 100% is where they all are. Yes. Yeah. My gosh, we have big ideas.
I
All
know.
right, y'all.